Hi guys, I'm all ready to get serious on this deadly serious topic. It is quite obvious that our banking system here in Europe is being whipwashed and eventually being wiped out sooner or later, rather sooner than later. The structures here are fainting for the worse compared to the US or other parts of this world. Let me give you an easily understandable example. Imagine you are trading on a leveraged trading account starting with 100 bucks and your broker or trading account gives you another 1 grand or 1,000 bucks as a credit for trading. Now you buy Apple stocks with the full 1100 and Apple stocks goes down by 10%. What happens next? It's easy, the positions are being liquidated and you are paying margin and credit fees. Your account is literally gone. And this situation you can project one-to-one to the current situation in the banking system. We in Europe have an unbelievable high amount of zombie companies. They can't even earn their monthly interest due owned to the banks. Wow, it was nuts already before Corona crisis happened. How does the picture look now with all the money pumping? Hidden bankruptcies and change in consumer behavior. But let's have a quick look back. Governments failed big a long time ago to separate banking business after the 2008-2009 financial crisis into credit banks and investment banks, with the last one having inherently more risk due to the investment component itself. Today, one bank can still do all businesses together, combining different business models and fields and therefore risk metrics. So banks' balance sheets and exposures have grown even more than ever before. Even worse, while receiving more fresh money from the central banks, they are then allowed to pay out dividends and to do buybacks of shares, driving stock values even higher than ever before. Instead of reinvesting the money into their own structures, business sustainability, and increasing a healthy stability of a balance sheet by increasing solvability and equity ratios and reserves, what are they doing? Everything below 20% equity solvability ratio should be considered risky for banks. What are we seeing today? 1, 2, 3, 5%? Further credits are being given out to not solvent companies, with banks increasing risks and leveraged but being backed by governments. This means literally legalization of solvency and bankruptcy delay. Even worse, as this seems all legit today. At the same time, our governments have outlawed the obligation for companies to file for bankruptcy as mentioned. Now in Germany, it has been postponed again from October to beginning of next year. Knowing that banks and companies were usually failing already in the first half of the year, this is making things even worse. The curse of politics and re-election. Don't solve a problem today if it can result in negative short-term owned consequences for you, for themselves, but long-term benefits for all. The curse of politics. So what are we seeing now? Then this could literally mean significant prison sentences for managers and legal litigations for the coming years between debtors and creditors, managers and companies. We are in the eye of the storm, and governments are trying to keep the trust into the system upright by backing everything that banks and companies do, and at the same time promising they will jump into it for rescue and do whatever is needed or deemed necessary. But hold on, who effectively is the government and state? It is every one of us. It is you, it is me, it is us. Everyone who is paying a nickel or dime in taxes to government subsidizations, everyone who has a pension or government fund, retirement plans, retirement money owned, and so on and so forth. That all is the government, and us effectively facing a dilemma for what the government is giving guarantees for, banking money in for junk bonds and credits. Wow, this is so wrong. So what is most probable to happen next? That all the optimistic outlooks by politicians are real, or are we indeed facing a deep lie with catastrophic economic consequences for all and every one of us? All of you, especially younger generations like Gen X, Gen Y, should carefully listen up, as you will have to bear the most fatal consequences of this current wrongdoing. You will be getting dumped the biggest garbage and shitload of politicians, wrongdoings, debt loss, baby boomers generations and more. So you have to be prepared. What a burden to carry on forward. There are already significant implications and warning signs in the form of many companies, small businesses and individuals like freelancers, that these are out of business, closed or about to close the business. Why is it, for example, that here in Germany self-employed people and freelancers are not being bailed out like the big companies and corporations? They are literally left alone in the storm and rain. On the other hand, we are seeing big players such as investment trusts, funds and big companies are getting millions and millions and millions for bailout. This world is nuts. This world is nuts. I can only repeat myself. So again, where is this journey going from here? If everyone is printing money and increasing debts, then the loser will obviously be the one not doing so. Now is not the time for politicians to pretend saving money when the completely corrupted system is going down anyways. The ship is going down and the system is likely a terminally ill patient. You have to inject the next shot sooner and with a bigger dose when everyone is doing so. Plus, printing money, but then investing it into infrastructure, education, new schools, innovation and technology, all of what I have mentioned before in my last video, and so on, will at least remain once built and the whole system comes down crashing. So we will have something that we can hold on to when everything comes down. Smart politicians would try to understand how this game is being played out in the long, medium and short term, and then position themselves accordingly. Not always to their own benefit, but for the overall benefit. But you can't rely on that, obviously. So you have to ask yourself the question, how can you bring your money and wealth and knowledge through this crisis? We are talking about deflation, inflation scenarios, varying taxes, real estate penalties, stock exchange closings, forbidden metals, and many other outlooks that we can't even imagine today. All can be served on the table and potentially will be served on the table. But hey, don't lose any nerves and stay focused instead, because every downfall also brings opportunities. Just look back into history. It has always been like that. So again, what are we most likely to see next? As mentioned in one of my last videos about fake Western democracies, I expect our hidden elites and politicians to keep playing a fake reality on the outside by making shows, drama and filling the media with entertaining content. At the same time, a lot of things are happening in the background. We now don't necessarily see that, but there are a lot of things happening. Best example is the current initiative of digital central bank money, changes of laws and so forth, while the media at the same time is filled with corona news and the US election puppet show, for instance. But reality happens at the same time. The political empire we are seeing today is facing and going down. Our monetary system, central banks and political frameworks have never in history worked out for a substantial system and always need a reset sooner or later. Just look back into history and you have a crystal clear answer. Also, there's a saying, if people really understood our monetary system, we would have a revolution before tomorrow morning. But let's turn back to the million-dollar question again. How long is this game going to get played out until things really start going down? Well, nobody knows, obviously. Depending on politicians' actions and system trust and stability, it is really hard to say and to give an indication. But things could flip really fast. E.g., look into the US. There are armies of people weaponized, playing outside patrols and so forth and so on. So we are seeing a really current hectic situation everywhere and most parts of the Western world. How I really see the picture that we are currently facing could be literally translated into we are all sitting in a hot balloon with tons of holes. New holes arise everywhere on the outside and existing ones are getting even bigger. In order to prevent crashing to the floor now, because we are really high, our politicians and the carry-on pump more hot air into the balloon so we can maintain position or even rise. But at the same time, the holes are exploding everywhere and are getting so big that inevitably we are all going down, but after we have been going up before. So the questions you have to ask yourself now is, do you have the knowledge to handle the current situation? Do you have a good and smart implementation strategy to handle this downfall? Is your job flexible and mindset agile enough to move on as needed? And for your wealth and wealth accumulators, are you protected? And do you have a parachute for a hot air balloon scenario? Finally, a quick view into the future and what we could see, how the system reset could play out in the end. Gold standard or central bank replacement currency for all failed currencies set up centrally by the IMF, or a long-lasting decade of bankruptcies with repeatedly new and then again failing currencies, or just a healthy reset. The last one can only be achieved though through a combination of debt relief, system reset, new political system, and maybe some sort of a gold standard. But this all cannot be achieved by taking from the wealth and successful people, because these people are long gone before that anyways, and these measures would put us back into socialism and back into ancient times. In between all these scenarios we have absolute chaos, civil war on the streets, no stability, not a safe environment really to be around. So stay focused, know what you're doing and get started now. Just look back again into history of money and you have a crystal clear picture about the future. This must be your base layer of knowledge moving forward from here to take actions. I wish you all the best. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and please subscribe to my channel, as these videos take a lot of time, dedication and preparation to prepare their content. So thanks again.